Hello everyone and welcome to another R&R Partners video. Today we are going to discuss the tax changes in Romania as of 2024. This will get a little bit into the math part of the taxes, so grab a piece of paper, maybe a pen, some hot tea, and let's discuss the numbers and see where Romania stands with its tax system from 2024. If you are new to the channel and you're interested in either emigrating to Romania or starting a business in Romania, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel as we post often videos about immigrating to Romania and opening a Romanian company. If you are interested in opening a company in Romania, most probably you are interested in the Romanian tax system. At the end of the day, you need to know how much am I paying and how much does it take to operate a company in Romania from the state's point of view. Starting with 2024, there are a lot of changes in the Romanian tax system. As a summary, there are four main ways of conducting business and being taxed in Romania. The first is a microenterprise, which can be taxed in two different ways. One would be taxing on revenue, and the other one would be taxing on profits. The second form of incorporation would be to be authorized as a natural person conducting economic activities. In this way, you will be taxed either with a fixed fee for the whole year, and that would be called in Romanian normă de venit, or you can be taxed on profits. However, in this case, you will also be taxed for social contributions like pension and health insurance. Now, let's take them step by step as each one has its own particularities and we need to discuss them in detail. First of all, it will be a limited liability company taxed on revenue. We call that a microenterprise, and this is the most common way of incorporating a company in Romania, both for non-EU citizens and EU citizens. Now, in order to understand the Romanian tax system, we need to take a leap in the past. Starting in 2019-2020, Romania had a very attractive tax system. We had a 3% tax on revenue or 1% tax on revenue if you had one full-time employee. Starting with 2023, we had a few tax changes. So in order to maintain the status of a microenterprise, four conditions were added to the company. One would be that you were forbidden to have more than 3 microenterprises. In order to own one microenterprise, you needed to own more than 25% stake into that microenterprise. The second would be that the maximum revenue of a company to be qualified as a microenterprise was €500,000, down from €1 million. Third condition would be that you cannot have consulting activities for more than 20% of the revenue. Consulting activities include business consulting or IT consulting. Fourth condition was that you had to have one employee in order to maintain your status. If you are in this situation or one of the following situations that I'm going to review, you can always book a consultation with us in order to have a clear picture of the Romanian tax system if it fits on your company needs, and we can even crunch some numbers together so you know what would be the lowest taxation that you could hope for in case you want to move to Romania. From 2024, basically all the above mentioned conditions were applicable to the microenterprise regime. Nothing changed, but we have a discrete increase in the rate hike. Now, from my point of view, the normal tax system is 3% instead of 1%, and 1% becomes the exception. So the exception now is the 1% rule. In order to qualify for the 1% rule, there are some additional conditions that your company must fulfill. One would be that the maximum revenue on the company within a year to be of 60,000 euro. The second condition is that the company must not activate in certain fields. Now, as I mentioned earlier, consulting does not qualify you to a microenterprise. So if you are from IT fields, restaurants, medical fields, or hosting fields, you most probably will go directly to the 3%, like you overpass the 60,000 euro benchmark, and you will be paying tax on revenue of 3%. Another change from 2024, it's mostly a timing problem, and that would be opting for the microenterprise regime. You can only opt in once, and if you opt out or you do not meet the conditions, you can never opt in again. For example, that's the situation with companies that are incorporated. If you opt in, you must fulfill the legal condition of having one employee within 30 days. If you do not have one employee in the first 30 days, you will be demoted to be taxed on profits, and you cannot ever come back and be taxed on revenue. So that's about it with the tax on the company's money. Basically, the microenterprise takes care only the taxes that you pay as a business. Now, once you get money in the business, the money is the business money. So if you want to take that money out and, I don't know, go and play jackpot, that will become your personal money. So when you take money out of the company and put it in your personal account, that's called a dividend. So you'll be paying taxes on the dividends, and at the moment the rate is 8%. Nothing changed to the dividend rate, and that's how it will be for 2024. If you found the content useful so far, we would deeply appreciate if you hit the thumbs up and like our video. It will really help out the channel, and also you'll be helping out other fellow expats who are interested about the tax changes as of 2024. Now, coming back to the tax part, once you've taken out dividends on your name from the company, you'll be owning the Romanian state some additional taxes that you need to pay. Those additional taxes are a health insurance contribution. However, this health insurance is limited with regards to how much you will be paying. So at the moment, there are 3 brackets that you overpass. You'll be paying 10% of each bracket. The first bracket is set at 6 minimum salaries, which are around 19,800 RON. So you'll be paying 1,980 RON for surpassing that bracket, and that would be roughly 400 euro. The next 2 brackets are at 12 salaries and 24 salaries. So practically you will be paying 800 euro if you surpass the second bracket, and if you surpass the last bracket, you will be paying 1,600 euro. So in plain English, if you are doing more than 16,000 euro in dividends, you'll be paying only 1,600 euro for health insurance tax, and the rest is yours to spend. They are not taxable any longer. So for example, we have the cap for a microenterprise at €500,000. If, for example, you have profits of 400,000 euro and you take all those dividends and put them under your personal name, you'll be paying only 1,600 euro as taxes. Technically, these are all the taxes that a microenterprise will own to the Romanian state and you as an entrepreneur. However, remember that there was one condition in order to be a microenterprise, that is to have one full-time employee. Therefore, even if you will be the one full-time employee, you need to be paying yourself the minimum wage, and we have taxes on the wages also. The minimum wage in Romania at the moment is around 700 euro, and you'll be paying roughly 260 euro each and every month for that wage. So the 700 is like the gross, and you'll be paying the taxes out of the 700, and you'll remain with the net salary to transfer into your account. All of this will be considered deductible expenses. So even if you do not have any expense when you do your calculation, it's good to know that this will be a regular expense for the company, and that is some money that you're taking out monthly. I know that at the end of the day, some of you will say, oh, okay, that's fine and good and everything sounds well, but how much am I paying actually? Unfortunately, question that you will need to answer with the pen and paper in your hand. However, in order to give you some rough estimations of how much you will be paying, we took some examples of income and the taxes that you will be paying. I'll go through each and every case with some particularities. One, there are no expenses on the company except the employment. Second, you need to take into consideration that you could have more expenses, so the taxes can be lower. And let's go through them. So in case you have a very small company, let's say you do roughly around 10,000 euro per year, the taxes in this system are roughly 3,000 euros. So that's a 30% tax on what you are doing if you have absolutely zero expenses. If you are in this case, our recommendation would be to be taxed on profits, as the taxes that you will be paying will be lower than how much you will actually be doing. Starting with the following revenue totals, the best way would be to be a microenterprise, because in this way your taxes will be a lot smaller. First would be, for example, if you have roughly 40,000 euro as income, the taxes in this case will be 7,900 euro, and that would be roughly 19% tax in total. If we double that amount and we go to 80,000 euro, the taxes will be roughly 12,000 euro, which amounts to 15% of your total revenue. If we go to 150,000, the taxes will go to roughly 20,000 euro, and that would amount to 13% of the revenue. And let's say that you have a good business, everything is working as you expected, you are getting each and every month roughly. Lastly, let's say that you are making 400,000 euro, you have a big company, everything is running smoothly, and you want to know, if I move to Romania, how much am I going to be paying in taxes? And that would be roughly 12% for taking 400,000 through your company minus the 12%, everything will be your own money. As you can simply observe, in Romania at the moment we have a regressive tax system. That means that the more you are making through your company, the less you are actually going to be paying in taxes. That's because we have certain taxes that are fixed, and once you surpass them, that is all you're going to be paying, nothing more. As a last disclaimer on the numbers presented, please be aware that I didn't take into consideration the taxes for an IT developer. As I mentioned, they are 3% instead of 1% for the 40,000 euro example. And sincerely, my best advice before starting the incorporation of the company in Romania at the moment, best would be to also speak with an accountant, as he can also guide you with the incorporation and best way to pay the least amount of taxes for the company. So, as I mentioned initially, this was the limited liability company being taxed as a microenterprise. There is also another option for the limited liability company to be taxed on profits. At the moment, the tax on profits in Romania is 16%, and usually this is a better option or something you might take into consideration if your revenue is very high and also your expenses, because then you'd be paying less in taxes overall. Plus, you don't need the full-time employee, so you can have some differences in taxation from that part also. Regarding the tax on profits, you also need to take into consideration that you'll be still paying the dividend tax and taxes on the health insurance if you surpass those certain brackets. Now, the second option of incorporating in Romania is to be authorized as a natural individual. We call this in Romanian PFA, or persoană fizică autorizată. It's a type of entity which has also two tax systems. The main tax system for the PFA would be to have its revenue taxed on, let's say, profits. It's easier to make the connection with the limited liability company. In this case, the taxes are 10%. However, if you are going through this route, take into consideration that there are some major changes as of 2024. In the past, we paid social contributions and health insurance the same at maximum 24 minimum wages. Starting with 2024, the bar only for the PFA went from 24 to 60 minimum wages. Therefore, if you're not considering to retire in Romania and the social contributions are 25% of what you are doing, technically this option isn't very good for somebody who looks into coming to Romania. The only use case that I would see would be if you have one main activity that doesn't differ a lot and your revenue is over €500,000 and you'd have to decide between a limited liability company taxed on profits, which is with the 16%, or a PFA. Probably in this case a PFA would be better. Another downside for the PFA versus the limited liability company is that if you are not already a resident in Romania or a Romanian citizen, you cannot incorporate the PFA in Romania. The last option of the tax system is for the PFA. Usually this was a very seeked alternative, especially for IT consultants who are coming to Romania. We have a fixed tax rate in which the Romanian state considers that you will be doing a certain income and they will tax you at that rate. However, they tax you at that rate if you make income up to €25,000. If you surpass €25,000 in 1 year, starting with the following year, you will be taxed with the 10% rule that I mentioned earlier. The tax rate usually differs. For example, in 2024, it's estimated that it will be €3,600 fixed fee. So even if you make those 25,000, the tax that you'll be paying, it will still be taxed on revenue. So the tax for 2024 is estimated to be around €3,600 for any PFA which is on normă de venit. That would mean roughly that the income that the taxes to income ratio would be somewhere around 14% if you have absolutely no expenses. And taking into consideration this, the only way that you could see this as an option would be to go on normă de venit 1 year, and then if your company evolves, to go to have a limited liability company. One more thing to mention on the PFA for normă de venit. At the moment of filming this video, there is a petition that is currently in public debate if IT consulting should be continued to be accepted and be taxed with only the normă de venit and not go in the real system. So that's all about the tax system in 2024. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you got a lot of useful information, and until our next video is up, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and you can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram, as we also post there, and you can be up to date with our activity. Have a good day. See you soon.